Why is being part of Fremantle important to Radical Media?
I think clearly this was a logical next step for us, and probably a logical next step for Fremantle with the foresight that they had, given what's going on in the marketplace. And I don't think it's, to be perfectly frank, that it's going to stop with these kinds of relationships. We're living in a media world right now with a significant amount of clutter, in addition to the disaggregation that's going on. And if you take a look at the way in which people are using media, they're using it in a very different way.
Peter, do you see what Bob has done with Fremantle as a threat or an opportunity? Because in some ways he's taking away business that you would be doing. That's what media agencies do.
Radical has always been a partner and will continue to be a partner. Fremantle has been a partner, will continue to be a partner. But every one of these guys on this panel, maybe with the exception of us, since we're directly in the same space, but I'm sure we can even find ways to share there. We're all in that same unhappy and uncomfortable place of being both competitors and also allies and collaborators, depending upon the situation. Marketers aren't spending more money. They're just rearranging how they're spending money to try to achieve higher levels of effectiveness. So for producers, for networks, for agencies, all of us are working in that same environment of how do we collaborate together to deliver higher value to clients. Because if we don't, then we're not in the space.
Havas Media is interesting because you've actually started up your own production studio, haven't you? So you're doing both the sort of the agency thing and you're also doing the creative thing.
In fact, we don't want to be a full service, and we absolutely have no arrogance in the way we push our business and say, you need to work also with our production team. But in fact, we, in a media agency, are focused on delivery end-to-end. We need to be sure that our idea, creative or media ideas, are strong, clever, targeted, relevant, but also execution and implementation will be with the same standard. So we need to raise the bar even on production side. And of course, we belong to a group where creative agencies are very strong, well-known like BTC, EuroSCG, and so on. So we don't want to compete with our brothers within the group. But for non-advertising production, there is an empty space. And when 3 years ago, from Havas Entertainment and MUR award-winning company, we tried to push a bit further and to produce our own content for TV channels. So without brands, because we knew that we had first to be credible in this business, and so to figure out that we could obtain and achieve huge ratings and great audience performance.
Marcus Vinton, you've done a lot on multi-platform. So talk a little bit about why that's important and how you've done that. I think it's with Renault.
Sure, Kate. Media fragmentation continues at an alarming rate. I think it's really simple for brands. All they need to do is have a relevant and engaging conversation with customers and prospects. Long-form entertainment gives us the opportunity of really having a much more immersive conversation. And I think there are some great opportunities through channel strategies. The natural extension, if we believe in AFP as a short-form piece, without clever distribution and applying some very strategic consumer touch points, it's just a piece of content floating in the atmosphere. I think if we move to series strands and start to strip content, a channel is a logical next step. This also has the added advantage of being able to deploy media time, so brands can become a media owner literally overnight. That gives us the opportunity to co-create. We can manage co-production ventures and bring other brands who perhaps don't have the confidence really to look at network opportunities. We can co-create content with them, and we can monetize that as well.
I mean, Doug, when you look at that, you're at Ogilvy. Do you think that channels are the way forward? Or do you think it's long-form content, or do you think it's web content, or is it all different, different things for different advertisers?
I actually see a world out there where we're channel agnostic. I don't necessarily believe the channels will exist. I think with the fragmentation that we're experiencing, there's a surplus of channels, there's a surplus of content, and with technology, which is disabling old business models and enabling new ones, getting better at being able to give us what we want, where we want it, and how we want it across multiple screens. The idea of a channel is more about what I need when I need it. There's a window right now, obviously, with the video on demand marketplace specifically, where branded content is finding its way onto those cable operating systems, and I think it's one of several distribution channels for a brand to be able to aggregate impressions, giving it greater value for that investment in content. But long term, I think we will all program our own channel. depending upon where we are in our life stage and with the products that we need or are interested in our lives. And it's going to be incumbent upon brands to continue to be really good storytellers, and then use technology and the engagement with that audience or the consumer to have a deeper dialogue and a deeper conversation.
Are we in a transitional point with the kind of branded entertainment that we're seeing?
I think it is. I mean, I think it's very much still the wild, wild west, and there are no running rules, which can be extremely liberating at times and extremely frustrating at times. I think Peter talked a little bit about it this morning as well. We're cooperating at times with partners who we're competing with 5 minutes ago, and sort of that whole mashup of what the world looks like. I do think, though, that there's a higher quality bar being prescribed to branded entertainment content. I think there's a fear among content creators that we will do to branded entertainment what we as marketers did to email and just completely screw it up and really not respect that consumer touch point that we have today. So I think so long as content creators we can keep holding that bar high, then we'll continue to move further into the sort of everyday entertainment touch points that we have with consumers. And that's exciting from a scale standpoint, it's exciting from an impact standpoint, and from a revenue standpoint.
The reason I think that branded content right now is so important is because no one has a choice but to participate and figure out how to do it. The advertisers are insisting that we better integrate in. No one is happy about it, particularly the agencies and the media companies. It was a lot easier in older days. As a result, this business very quickly has to be a very credible creative business. And it never, not to say that it wasn't ever a creative business, but that's who's going to get in this business. And 5 years from now, when we're sitting here, every one of the media companies is going to have some version of this, not just what people call integrated marketing. People and groups and companies that develop, produce, and distribute this branded content. Because if you're not along for that entire ride, even in a partnership with someone, it's very difficult to pull off.
If we're going to really be able to provide a higher level of service to our clients that really relates to how media is used and how it's expressed through content, then we better bring in people who have that skill and who can integrate that skill with what we do, so that together we can help educate our clients and then deliver to our clients on the basis of what information we've given them. So all of this is really physical evidence of the evolution of the business, that there are different skills being brought together with the core competencies that we all started with as funding, distribution, and content creation to try to, again, increase the level of value that we create.